everyone, today we are taking a look at Creator's Temple in normal mode to learn the mechanics. We have not gone through the whole dungeon, but I want to at least take a look at the first half to give you an idea and to help teach the guild. Now, if you have not subscribed, please take a moment to do so. I don't usually ask, but it's a nice gauge as to how much these videos still kind of are helpful to people. So today we're going to go ahead and just run through clear the mobs first, which we've already done, and we're going to go ahead and go up to the boss. Now this dungeon is very buggy, especially if you're a tank. I find it very frustrating, but hopefully we'll at least kind of cover some of the best ways to do this. Alright, so first off, we've got two tanks. You're going to switch at 8 stacks. Now you cannot see under the boss's name who is the tank, who's got the boss's targeting. They took that out for this dungeon or forgot to put it in. So it's better to kind of face the boss away from the raid. The boss will do a frontal cone of damage. Anyone inside that frontal cone of damage will have an ad attached to them, and you have to kill the ad to break them out. Now also are these number 1 and 2 markers. These are very important because those are the different sides you'll stand in. The triangle and moon you can ignore. Okay, so first off, I'm going to pull the boss and face him towards the number 1 marker. Now, first thing to notice, again, is there's no target under the boss's name. So you have to make sure you're off to the side so you know you have aggro. Okay, up first we have a light cone of damage. Now here we can see it, but you can't always see it very well with the dark especially. So watch for the casting bar under the boss's name. For this training run, we have 2 groups of 5. So we have group number 2 going into the yellow cone of damage. You cannot predict if light or dark cones will be first, so just be careful. You'll see that people are running into this yellow cone of damage. Once they get into the yellow cone of damage, there will be ads for each person who is stunned in the cone of damage. So make sure there's not more than you guys can break out before the next section. Make sure to face the boss away from the people who are being broken out so they don't accidentally get into the other cone of damage and get killed. They will drop purple puddles here, so just make sure you're not overlapping too much and getting killed by a purple puddle while waiting to be broken out. Avoid any lines on the floor or AoE. Now here we are, again, purple is being cast, but you can't see it at the front. So I am going into this purple, and you have to watch for that casting bar under the boss's name. I was able to move right away because they broke me out. Tanks were switching off around 8 stacks, so just be careful. And now that we all have marks on us, we don't need to go in any more cone of damages to move out of the way. Okay, I'm going to take a second to explain the mark. So I have a mark of evil on me because I went into the purple cone of damage. So you're sharing damage when you go into the purple cones, so be careful. One person will probably die if they go in by themselves, but they get this mark of evil on them. The other people in group 1 who went into the cone with me also have the mark of evil on them. You can see it in the raid frame. The people in team 2 went into the light cone of damage, and they have a light mark on them, a mark of good. And you can also see that in the second column of the raid frame. Anyone without a mark at this phase change will die. So do not res if you are dead, if you know you're not going to have a mark, because you're just going to die again. Here is where the markers and the marks on you are important. So if you are in group 1 and have a dark mark, you go to marker number 1, which is the darker scale, which takes you to the evil side. If you have a light mark and or a good mark and you're in team 2, you go to the number 2 marker, which is the lighter mark, lighter scale, and that will take you to the good side. So standing in these groups on these scales will take you to different areas for this next section, this middle phase. All right, so it's going to transport us in just a second. And we are going to the dark side, and afterwards I will show you some of the light side. All right, so here we are at the dark side for the first part. Now I'm going to run back to the boss. Careful to avoid the tornadoes and the lasers going around, but you need to run as quickly as you can. If you need to, you can use quantum shield, whatever you have to do to get to the boss's area. Now, off to the side in the corner where this little purple circle marker is a mob that you need to kill. See where Pip is in the corner here? You might need to stand off to the side to avoid this purple laser going around. If you get hit by these purple lasers, you will die. So we're going over to the portal once that boss is down. Hit the quit. It will port you out of that area and back over to the boss. Okay, now I'm going to take a look from the other point of view. Here I have a mark of good, and we're going into this phase change. Notice there's no timer on the mark of good, so once you get it, you're good. You don't have to go back into the cone of damage until after the phase change again. So here I'm going to stand in the scale for the mark of good, and it's going to keep me right where we are. There's going to be mobs in each of these corners. You have to kind of spread out and find them. Let's see. Oh, we've got one in the corner over there, and you just have to go around to the corners and kill the mobs. There's one right there. So make sure you have enough DPS to kill these mobs in the corners. When the mob dies, a totem will spawn, and this totem will increase the amount of time that the people can be in the mark of evil side, or just extend this section, which is important because you often run out of time. So click the U's on those power of good statues or totems, and it will increase the timer that people have in order to be on the dark side. Okay, back to the run we were just looking at. We are going to continue to do the same thing we were before. We are going to DPS the boss until we get those cones, and then we're going to go in the cones. So here again, we have the light cone. So group 2 is going to go into the light cone. I'm going to make sure to taunt the boss off of the tank who has it, because we don't want him to drop that dark cone on top of them. If you're DPS, make sure to DPS those ads and kill them so you can free the other teammates as quickly as possible. There are two things that I want to point out here. First, I have red text over my head, which means I have a line attached to me. So I don't want to have other teammates under me because they'll get harmed by the damage. Second, I want to point out these meteors. Now, just like other dungeons, one person has to stand in each of the meteors. And when you stand in the meteor, you get a buff on you so that you cannot take a second meteor afterwards. You have to wait for the buff to drop off. So here I was not in a meteor, so I can't show you the buff, but I will show it to you just a little bit later if I happen to have it in this run. So we're going to continue to DPS the boss, and we are going to share damage. You can see there's share damage, there's avoid the lines, and we're going to then try to switch tanks and get the cones. So there's a lot going on in this raid, plus all the purple puddles. So again, here is the dark cone of damage area, and I need to be in the evil side, so I'm going to stand in that. All the mobs do move around, so go ahead and DPS those mobs until you are able to kill them. Now, we already have a mark for the good side, so we don't need people to go into the good side again, so just avoid that AoE when it appears. All right, I think we're just going to continue to DPS the boss until he gets low enough. Nope, we've got the lines again, so you can see you've got the red text over people's heads, and we're probably going to get meteors here. So we've got the red text, here's the lines, and I should look around for meteors. There's one in the far corner, and okay, so those are covered, so I didn't need to get in one that time. So again, just watch for that mark on you. Let me see if I can point it out from another run. Okay, so here we have people with the lines, and I'm going to run to one of the meteors here. Now, I am going to stand in this meteor, and I will get a mark from the meteor. It has a timer on it, but it's pretty long. It is called Soul Blazing Fire. So if you have this Soul Blazing Fire mark, do not stand in another meteor until it drops off. The broken mark that is there are the tank stacks, if you're curious. Okay, back into the dark side for me. So I'm going to go stand on my marker for the mark of evil that I have, while the other side stands on number 2 for the mark of good. Here we can't see the scales because, of course, the game is kind of glitchy. And so we're going to stand here until we're ported to the other side. The second run through the dark side is different than the first. So before we go too far, I want to point out that right at the edge here is a detecting crystal. It doesn't show up unless you stop and stand there, and then it appears. One person needs to take this detecting crystal in order to, if you hit that little axe in the bottom, it will put this yellow circle around you, and you'll be able to see these tornadoes that spawn. Unfortunately, running fast, they will spawn on top of you and can kill you. If you don't pick up the circle on this run through, you can't really see what's going on. And, oh, well, we did get a circle here. Okay, somebody else picked it up this time. And so we're just trying to run through. Again, it's really hard to see anything, so you just hope for the best. I think this is really important to where you need to make sure that you're killing the mobs on the light side and extending the time for the darks so that maybe they can take a little more time to get through. Again, I have not had a chance to finish this dungeon yet, at least with a normal run doing the mechs. So I will update it when I get a chance to finish it and get to the end. But thank you so much for watching. And if you have any comments that you'd like to leave below as to tips to how to do the dungeon, if I missed anything, please put them down. And thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.